Hello and welcome to Module 2 of this RAI webinar series. These webinars are part of a TRL project with the aims of refining the methodology for RAI calculation, piloting application of the new methodology, and increasing awareness and use of the RAI in general. This webinar addresses the Rural Access Index as part of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. This presentation is part of a series of webinars produced under this project. Each webinar in this series is a maximum of 10 to 15 minutes long, and some frequently asked questions are included at the end of each module. The webinars will cover the topics shown here. This second presentation covers the UN SDGs and how RAI fits into that context. We do recommend that you view these webinars in the sequence presented, but all the presentations will be made available and can be accessed as required. This module covers 5 main aspects of RAI as part of the SDGs. First of all, we'll have a general introduction to the SDGs, and then we'll look at key organizations involved, online resources, the SDG Tier Status, and the roles and responsibilities. The Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, were developed in 2015. They are an important set of global indicators which address the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. There are 17 goals. These include goals relating to all facets of sustainable development, including poverty, health, education, environment, climate change, and infrastructure. Each goal has a number of targets, and there are 169 targets in total. There are also 232 unique indicators which are used to monitor progress of the SDGs. The RAI is one of these indicators. The aim of SDG 9 is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Under SDG 9, Target 9.1 has the aim to develop quality, reliable, sustainable, and resilient infrastructure. This is a very wide-ranging target, and the indicators provide a means to monitor progress with meaningful data. SDG 9.1.1 measures the proportion of the rural population who live within 2 kilometers of an all-season road, which is exactly the same definition as the RAI. Currently, the World Bank methodology as developed in 2016 is used to measure this indicator. This diagram shows the key organizations involved in the RAI as part of the SDGs. Support for SDGs within the UN organization is complex, with different responsibilities for each goal, and this diagram is very much simplified and focused on RAI. The RAI policy guide and roadmap produced under this project describes those roles and responsibilities in more detail. Responsibility for SDGs lies across several UN divisions, including the UN Division for Sustainable Development, or UNSD. Key groups within the UNSD are shown in the orange boxes. These are the High-Level Group for Partnership, Coordination and Capacity Building, which provides strategic leadership for the SDG implementation process, focusing on statistical monitoring and reporting. It aims to establish a global action plan for sustainable development data. The other is the Interagency Expert Group for SDGs, which maintains a tier scale for the indicators, which is described later in this presentation. The custodian and partners are shown on the right of the diagram. The World Bank is the custodian of RAI, or SDG 9.1.1. Various other organizations are partners to the custodian, and these include UNEP, UNECE, and the Asian Development Bank. Other agencies such as the African Development Bank or the Inter-American Development Bank may join in future. The UN SDG website provides lots of useful information. You can access it via the UN Stats website at the link shown here. The site contains overviews of the SDG indicators, explains the functions of the different groups, and provides links to many other resources. Clicking on the metadata repository, as shown on the slide, takes you to further information on each indicator. Searching for Target 9.1 lets you download the metadata for 9.1.1, which includes the official methodology for the indicator as approved by the Interagency Expert Group. The metadata here is the 2016 World Bank methodology, which is currently the official methodology for calculating RAI. The metadata includes institutional information, concepts and definitions, methodology, data sources, data availability, a calendar, and references. The 2019 supplemental guidelines are still to be added to the SDG 9.1.1 metadata. The Interagency Expert Group for SDGs manages a tier system for all SDG indicators. The tier system represents how well developed an indicator is. Indicators at Tier 1 are much more likely to be measured regularly than indicators at Tier 2 or Tier 3. At present, the RAI is at Tier 2. This means that it is considered to be conceptually clear, has an internationally accepted methodology, but that data is not regularly produced by countries. To date, RAI has been measured in at least 36 countries since 2016. One aim of TRL's current project is to help SDG 9.1.1 to reach Tier 1 by 2025. Raising awareness of the RAI and the supplemental guidelines are key tasks in achieving this goal. A policy guide and roadmap to reach Tier 1 have been produced under this project, and these are described more fully in Module 3. The previous slides described the overall responsibilities for SDG indicators. This slide provides a simplified and generic view for RAI measurement and reporting. So, starting at the top right of the diagram, the official list of SDG indicators is approved by the Interagency Expert Group. For SDG 9.1.1, the World Bank, as custodian, develops a methodology for measuring the indicator, and this is also approved by the Interagency Expert Group. The custodian will motivate countries to measure RAI, coordinating with the relevant agencies in each country. Typically, the National Statistical Office, or the NSO, will have the responsibility to report the SDGs, but it could also be a different agency, for example, a National Planning Commission. The NSO is a key agency in this process. It is desirable for the SDG indicator to be included within a country's National Statistical System, or NSS. The NSS is a key document which defines all statistics and indicators to be produced by that country. The NSO should also liaise with other agencies in the country, such as the National Roads Agency, rural roads agencies, and other stakeholders as appropriate to agree the definition of the RAI. When all stakeholders have agreed the data sources to be used and the roles and responsibilities amongst them, they should calculate the RAI, agree the value with the NSO, and then submit to the custodian for quality assurance via the reporting channels as documented in their national statistical system. Once validated, the NSO and stakeholders should publish the value internally within the country. The custodian will then publish on the World Bank data catalogue. World Bank will also report it to the UN, and the value then gets published on the SDG website and other UN websites. The World Bank data catalogue contains many other resources relating to RAI, including all reports, any data and calculations submitted by countries, supporting documentation, and any analyses of RAI. Many countries have set up their own SDG reporting platforms with the assistance of various organisations, including UNSD and the UK Office of National Statistics. The example shown here is for Rwanda. This was implemented with the help of UK ONS. It has exactly the same interface as the UN SDG reporting platform for other countries. These sites are typically linked to the NSO websites of the individual countries. They provide up-to-date information on which SDGs are being measured by the country, and they contain the values of the indicators along with the accompanying metadata. This webinar has been the second in this series of 7 modules on the RAI, giving the context of the RAI as part of the SDGs. All presentations in this series are available on the ReCAP YouTube channel and on the World Bank Data Catalogue website. These are the key references for this presentation. Please refer to these as necessary. Okay, we're now going to go over some frequently asked questions which relate to the topics covered in this presentation. Question 1, is the reporting of SDGs mandatory? So no, it's not mandatory. It's encouraged, of course, but it's not mandatory. And each country decides which indicators they want to prioritize and publish. For example, some countries decide to publish only Tier 1 indicators. Others may decide to publish some selection or subset of Tiers 1, 2, 3. It will all depend on the context within that country, on the focus areas, on the resources available, the data available, and many other factors, but it's country specific. Question 2. What needs to happen for RAI to be promoted to Tier 1? So the tier criteria are, first of all, that it would need to have a conceptually clear methodology, and second, it would need to be measured by at least 50% of all UN member countries regionally. Once those criteria are both fulfilled, the custodian can then propose the indicator to the interagency expert group for consideration for promotion to Tier 1. Under this project, we have produced a roadmap including activities such as raising awareness, incorporating RAI into rural development policies and national statistical systems, for example, which should ensure that most countries will collect it in the future, and this should help in getting the RAI promoted to Tier 1. Question 3. Which countries are currently reporting RAI and where can I see current RAI data? So the best place to go is to the country-specific SDG reporting websites, and there you'll be able to see RAI data for those countries that do publish it. And the World Bank Data Catalog and SDG Indicators website has a full list of the countries that report RAI and obviously the reported information. So that's the end of this webinar. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found it useful. You can find more information on the ReCAP website and in the references provided earlier in this presentation. You can also access the other modules in this series via the ReCAP YouTube channel and on the World Bank Data Catalog website.